Hello, this is Dr. Stuckey, and the purpose of this video is going to be to show you how to interpret the solver table output. So I am using the product mix 1 that we finished in the last video, and we got to where we produced the solver table output, but I have not yet shown you how to interpret it. So that's the purpose of this video. First of all, you have two charts. You have a chart for the number to produce of the first type of computer and the number to produce of the second type of computer and how that affects total profit. Up here, it tells you that the assembling hours values are along the side. That's your column right here, and the testing hours available are along the top. So this allows you to see at a glance how many of each type of unit that you should produce based on a given number of assembly versus testing hours. So you can see here really easily that if you have 2,000 testing hours and 8,000 assembly hours, you're going to produce 600 of the first type of computer. And so again, this 2,000, 8,000, you're going to produce 700 of the second type of computer. And your profit is going to be $138,300. And you can do that for any of the values here that we put in. So let's see, let's do 35 and 10. You would make 560 of the first type of computer, and you would make 1,200 of the basic or of the second type of computer, which I think, let's look back at our model. Yeah, that's going to be your XP. Okay, so that is going back to this sensitivity analysis. It may be different. It may be slightly different on your sheet. Just make sure that it's the sensitive or your output from your two-way solver table. So we can also just at a glance pull some optimal information. So you are going to make 600 of that first type of computers if you only have 2,000 assembly hours, or I'm sorry, 2,000 testing hours, no matter how many assembly hours you use. That could be a critical piece of information for a manager. So where you would not make 600 is where you started to get to 3,000 assembly hours and 3,000 testing hours and below when you're at the 10,000 level for assembly hours or above. Okay. We should also see a point in here. We can't make more than 2,800 in profit, no matter how many assembling and testing hours that we add. So we certainly wouldn't want to have 5,000 and 10 and 12,000 given this model because we would pay for hours that we didn't end up using. So you're going to want to be somewhere in this point depending on the cost of your hours. So actually it looks like your optimal solution here would be to have 3,000 of the testing hours and 10,500 of the assembly hours, and then you'd be able to produce all the numbers needed for both units. You also have a graph over here that shows the sensitivity to the production of number 1 to testing hours, the sensitivity of number 1 production to assembling hours. And so you can see here that number 1 isn't, the basic computer is not sensitive to assembling hours. You're going to produce 600 if you hold everything else constant, no matter how many assembling hours you use. So basically what that is saying, let's go back and look at your model. Your model is assuming that you have 10,000 assembly hours available. So you are going to produce all of these, no matter how much your assembling hours varies along this 8 to 12,000, as long as, I'm sorry, it's the testing hours you're holding constant here, as long as your testing hours don't change, and right now it's at 2960. You can see that it's much more sensitive to the number of testing hours that you have. As the number of testing hours increases, unless you also increase assembly hours, you are going to produce less of the first model, which is the basic. You can change these charts by going over here and clicking a different option. Okay, in fact, so this shows number to produce of 1. So here is number to produce of 2, and we can, this is your XP model, and again we can look and see how sensitive it is to assembling hours. And so basically what this is telling you is it's not going, they're both most sensitive to the testing hours. So if you want to be able to produce more, you're going to get more bang for your buck by adding more testing hours instead of more assembly hours. That's about all of the data I'm going to interpret for you on this at this point. You certainly could look at these charts a little bit more, maybe pull a little bit more off depending on the manager's specific questions, but that will give you enough to adequately interpret for your assignment. So as always, if you have questions, please get in touch with me via phone or email. I am happy to help you, happy to answer your questions. Hope you have a great evening.